Fake claims. Welcome back to today's Misguided Mentors. I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for some time now, and I'm going to elaborate and use some specific scenarios and stories and things that I'm seeing to explain a little bit and elaborate on some of the things I'm noticing and share my opinion with you, of course, as always. Welcome back. So today's topic is going to be focused on something that I've noticed all the gurus do. They all do this. You might have noticed they all have big claims, huge claims. And when I say big claims, not just towards their service and their products. Of course, they all have that, right? Like most businesses make outrageous claims like that. But I'm more focused on the claims of actions and more specifically transactions that have happened between guru to guru type claims. So I want to talk about that, give you some examples, talk about some things that I've noticed and some things I've experienced, and then just give you my flat out opinion about some stuff. So some of the things I've noticed is there's people out here, you probably hear people always talking about how they paid for someone for some time. They spent $10,000 to hang out with somebody to pick their brain. Grant Cardone charges, I guess, $100,000 for 30 minutes of his time. Who knows? That's changed over the years. It's probably more, less. I don't know. Either way, it's overpriced and it's not worth it. And I don't think anybody's time is worth that much money anyway, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I think you can learn from somebody, but I don't think there's nothing somebody's going to tell me that's worth thousands of dollars for me to just hear them tell me. It's just simply not worth it. And one, there's that factor. They're not worth it. Two, it's fucking outrageous for them to be charging that much. And it's egotistical, in my opinion, to think that they're worth that much money just to hear somebody, just to have somebody hear them talk. I think it's just ridiculous. It's like a made up fairy tale land that people are living in the self-development space. So I want to talk about that. And I'll use some specific examples. And I'll start off with the first story. But before I do that, what's up, Jeremiah? Yeah, dude, 10X conference is coming up. It's not the last one. We all know that. It's just a cash grab, false sense of urgency. And by the way, speaking of false claims, in my opinion, that's a false claim. For him to say that it's going to be the last 10X growth conference, it's definitely not. Like we all know that it's all bullshit, and we know what the agenda is by saying that false claim. So anyways, for those of you who are watching on Instagram, make sure you subscribe to Today's Misguided Mentors on YouTube. That way I can see your comment, because pretty soon I'm going to stop live streaming while I stream on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to put all my focus on that channel. So I'd love to get, like you, Jeremiah, I hope you're subscribed to the Today's Misguided Mentors YouTube, because that's where I'm going to be able to see your comments going forward here shortly, especially when I start interviewing people. I'm just not going to have time to look at multiple screens. So make sure you do that. Let's jump into this. We're going to get right into this. So I've noticed there's a lot of crazy, outrageous claims. A lot of it, in my opinion, is to serve these people's agenda, create this narrative of something actually happening so that they can encourage you to take action on something that they've done. All right, let me explain and get into this a little more. And for this example, what I'm going to do is how's it going, Lorraine? How you doing? I'm going to use this video that I think Chris Williamson did with Alex Hormozi, talking about Alex Hormozi's experience with Grant Cardone. And we'll listen to it. I'm going to jot down some notes, and I'm going to break it down for you and give you my opinion on it. All right. So let's get, let me get the actual window first. 1 second. Here we go. All right. So let's get that off there. Bam. All right. Let's hear what he's got to say.
You've worked with Grant Cardone, and a lot of people on the internet talk shit about him. But as people who have worked with him directly, what was your experience like?
So, for context, Layla bought me a Christmas gift 2 years ago, which was 4 one-on-one calls with Grant because it was like available on the website. And she called, and the sales guy didn't even know that he could sell it. And so she had to get transferred to a manager because he didn't. And she was like, I'm trying to give you 130,000 or 100, whatever it was, $1,000 for 4 hours. And he was like, I'm not sure. And the manager was like, I'm so sorry about that, ma'am. I will be happy to accept your money. And so, anyways, we've done 3 calls with Grant. They've been very valuable. I will say that every experience we've had with Grant has been positive. He's been attentive. He's taken notes during our calls. He's asked about things that we'd spoken about the last time. He waits to try and provide, contextual feedback overall. And overall, it was a great Christmas gift for me because, like, what do you get someone who can get themselves, whatever? And for me, the thing that I love more than anything is just knowledge. You know what I mean? Like everything I did. So, and sometimes the knowledge gets rarer and rarer and harder to find, right? And especially stories and experiences, like they're the most valuable things because if I have a story, I can get the lessons from the experience without having to go through it. And so I always think those are the most valuable things of all. And but yeah, I mean,
hold on. All right, I was gonna wait until the end of the video, but I honestly just can't. Let's just break some of this down. First of all, he'd rather pay $130,000 to hear somebody's story that has gone through something that. Hold on, let me get this freaking thing off here real quick. Here we go, so you can see me. All right, he would rather pay somebody $130,000 so that he can hear somebody else's story who's gone through it. That is the worst fucking investment anybody could make, in my opinion. That is not smart business decisions. It just isn't. So just logically speaking and rationalizing about that being a good decision for business, it's just simply not true. And if you think it's true, there's a good chance you've been brainwashed to think that. This is what I'm trying to help people realize. It is simply not good business. It's not a smart thing to spend, according to what he said, $130,000 for 4 sessions for him to talk. As far as I know, they're just talking. And Grant is sharing some experiences with him on things that he's already been through. My God, this makes it even... I already had the opinion that nobody's worth speaking to for thousands of dollars, and it makes it even worse that he's saying, I want to spend money with somebody so that I can hear them tell me something that I haven't been through yet, that they've been through, so that I can avoid it and see it coming. That is the worst business decision ever. And matter of fact, I would go as far as to argue that sometimes the best decisions, are sometimes the best lessons are learned when you've actually gone through that yourself. And paying somebody to avoid that lesson is not smart either, in my opinion. So I think this is a bullshit story. I'm just gonna go ahead and come out and say it. I think he's full of shit. This is a completely made up story, in my opinion. All right. I'd love to hear Alex Hormozi reply to me on this. He never will. And I want to point out something else that I've noticed on this. Actually, this is really, really weird. I'm very good at noticing people's body cues, or as they call it in poker, tells. There's some things I'm noticing about this, and we haven't even gotten through. How much time have we been through this? This has only been a minute and a half, and I'm already seeing some signals here. Let me tell you what I'm talking about when I mean by poker tells. What's up, Debbie? What's up, Jeremiah? Good to see you on here, brother. Debbie, you were saying that you wish Alex would put some clothes on. He's got muscles. Now get dressed, right? You got muscles. We get it. Okay, cool. So I agree. He's all about his client base is, usually a bunch of young muscle bound dudes who want to get jacked. And I've always made fun of that too. Like the recipe for brainwashing young entrepreneurs who want to get all fit is get jacked up on steroids and start preaching a bunch of business metrics. I've talked about this several times, but I want to talk about this. First of all, obviously I just gave my opinion that I think this is a bullshit story, completely made up. I want to tell you something. First of all, the body cues, let's talk about Alex's. I just talked about this on one of my Instagram posts, if you caught this, where I was showing how Luke Belmar was talking about this made-up story where him, 10 or 12 guys got around in a cabin and masterminded, and he didn't make any money, and they masterminded, I guess. And he's sitting there fidgeting with himself. He's like scratching his head, looking around and stuff. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who does that and touches themselves and fidgets, I guess, if you will, or pacifies themselves while they're talking is like a red flag instantly. I'm not saying that, but it is something to pay attention to because there is an energy behind that as well when somebody starts doing that. And you can tell. Now, I'm not saying just because they're doing that, they're lying or exaggerating or, whatever, blowing things out of proportion or altering the truth. But in my experience, and especially if you've ever played poker, this is actually something you pick up on within people and you start noticing it in people in everyday life. So yes, there are physical cues and tells, as we call it, that indicate that someone may be lying. And usually, I would say if I was to guess the percentage, at least 80%. If someone's constantly doing that, especially when they make claims or they're storytelling or they're talking about something that seems unreal and they're doing it, it usually is, there's a good chance they're fucking lying. Like there's just no way around it. So yeah, Lorraine. So if it's made up, do you think he's why? I'm gonna have to let me do something here. I don't know why I'm having a really hard time reading the text. I think I'm gonna mess around with my. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. I want to mess around with. Why isn't that getting bigger? Yeah, there we go. You think he's getting a kickback? Yes. So let me talk about that, and you're on to something that I'm getting to here in a second. Yes, I think there's an arrangement that's being made because the whole narrative is that they all it's a piggy, it's a you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back arrangement is what this is. All right, and I feel like that is what's happening, and I'm going to give you more examples of this stuff, or a couple more anyway. But I think what it is him and Grant probably hold on. Let me get to that in a second. I want to go back to the cues. I don't want to lose that thought real quick, but I'm going to address that here in a second, Lorraine. So when you start fidgeting with yourself while you're telling something that sounds like a story or you're a huge claim, there's a good chance that it's made up and someone's lying, or because they're very uncomfortable, right? Not too many people are good at telling a made up story without messing with themselves. Oh, what's up, Jeremiah? Thanks for the heads up, man. I don't know why that's happening. I have not had that problem before. Let me try something real quick. Is that any better? Can you guys hear me? Jeremiah, are you the only... how about a quick check here? Debbie and Lorraine, if you guys are still on there, can you hear me very good? And does it sound like I'm cutting in and out on your end as well? Just to check that out, because I don't want to keep talking and if I'm having a technical issue. So just let me know if you guys could just verify if I sound better now, if I'm still cutting in and out, or if there's some issue going on. I'm wondering if it's because... It could be because I got StreamYard still open, so I could just close that. No sound at all? All good on your end? Debbie? Chips out. Even still, like even now it sounds like it's... Oh, you know what? Let me try something. I don't know. Technology is a weird thing, and so I'm wondering if it's because it could be a couple of things. But let me know if that's any better, because I'm just troubleshooting now. Let me know if that's still cutting in and out, because I feel like that could have been what it was going on there. Still doing it. That is so weird. I have no idea why I would be cutting in and out. How disappointing. There's no other platforms on. Let me try something here. How about I close some windows? Maybe that'll happen. Maybe that will. Maybe that'll help. Let me see. Let's close that bad boy. Let's close that bad boy. All right, let me see here. Let me try moving the mic closer to me. I don't know. Is that still clipping in and out? Let me know if that's any better. I thought it was the fans I had on, so I turned off all my fans, which is kind of a bummer because it's hot in here. But that's okay. I will suffer. I will suffer to make sure you guys could hear me. Let me know if that's working. I closed a bunch of tabs on my computer. If that's not working, it could just simply be a connection issue. Which is very strange. I've never had that happen. This would be the first time I think I've ever had this problem. So let me know if that is any better. That's weird because on your end, Debbie, you're saying I sound fine, right? Okay, cool. Maybe it was all the tabs I had open. Maybe it was a combination of that and the fans. So I'm going to continue. Let me know if there's still some more problems. While I stopped, what's up, Beachy Girl? Thanks for the clarification on the sound on Instagram. Yeah, I definitely should sound good on the Instagram because it's a different platform and a different mic that's receiving me. But by the way, Beachy Girl and anybody else here that's on Instagram, jump over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. That way I can actually see your comments on that page right in front of me as well, because I'm only periodically checking the Instagram, and before long I'm actually going to eliminate doing a live on Instagram while I'm streaming on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. Go to today's Misguided Mentors on YouTube, and I appreciate that. And thanks for letting me know I'm sounding good on there. All right, and thank you guys. I appreciate you helping me out and letting me know and not letting me continue with that disruption. So let me bring it back. What I was talking about was the tells. I was talking about when people do pacifying, fidgeting, and stuff like that when they're telling a story or they're saying a claim or they're talking about something that seems like it's too good to be true or impossible or kind of outrageous. I feel like more times than not, they're lying, and not too many people can tell a lie without doing that. Obviously, really good liars can do that, but generally speaking, people have a hard time doing that without actually pacifying themselves in some way. Anyways, I noticed that Alex Hormozi is sitting there scratching himself as he's talking about that towards the end. And more specifically, I just noticed as I was watching it for this time, I only briefly watched it right before this, but Layla Hormozi, Alex's wife, she looks very nervous. She looks very uncomfortable. And to me, she has a lot of tells as well. Like she started playing with her hair. She was like swallowing twice. I'll back it up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And when you listen to him talk and her talk and you notice these tells I'm talking about, let me know if that seems a little off to you. I mean, to me, she seems super fucking uncomfortable. Pardon my French, but she seems like she's very uncomfortable. And it would make sense because I think this is a bullshit story. And so she's sitting here having to put on a show and a face through something that's just made up. But just listen to this, and I'll go back, pay attention to her. I only seen that one tell on him towards the end, but he just seems like he's lying. He seems like he's lying. When he talked about it, it seems like she's just holding up the lie with him. Watch this. This is crazy. I just noticed this.
Over whatever it was, $1,000 for 4 hours. And he was like, I'm not sure. And the manager was like, I'm so sorry about that, ma'am. I will be happy to accept your money. And so, anyways,
hold on
the
let me go
website.
back.
And she called, and the sales guy didn't even know that he could
Have worked with him directly. What was your experience like?
So, for context, Layla bought me a Christmas gift 2 years ago, which was 4 one-on-one
Right there.
calls.
All right. I know you guys might think I'm crazy for this or that I'm reaching, but she seemed very uncomfortable when he said that. Watch.
which was for one text. Layla bought me a Christmas gift 2 years ago, which was 4 one-on-one calls with Grant because it was like available on the website. And she called, and the sales guy didn't even know that he could sell it. And so she had to get transferred to a manager because he didn't. And she was like, "I'm trying to give you 130,000 or 100."
So now she's drinking something, and now she like pay attention to her throat. Like she seems like she's really struggling with this story.
Whatever it was, $1,000 for 4 hours. And he was like, "I'm not sure." And the manager was like, "I'm so sorry about that, ma'am. I will be happy to accept your money." And so, anyways, we've done 3 calls with Grant. They've been very valuable. I will say that every experience we've had with Grant has been positive. He's been attentive. He's taken notes during our calls. He's asked about things that we'd spoken about the last time. He waits to try and provide, contextual feedback overall. And overall, it was a great Christmas gift for me because, like, what do you get someone who can get themselves, whatever? And for me, the thing that I love more than anything is just knowledge. You know what I mean? Like everything I did. So, and sometimes the knowledge gets rarer and rarer and harder to find, right? And especially stories and experiences, like they're the most valuable things because if I have a story, I can get the lessons from the experience without having to go through it. And so I always think those are the most valuable things of all. And but yeah, I mean, I think people will hate anyone who's.
All right. So, anyways, I'll finish here in a second. You guys hear what hopefully you see what I'm talking about. It's weird. In my opinion, it's just weird, and I feel some energy there. I just feel weird energy watching them fidget with themselves. And whenever I've just noticed that in people, especially when it comes time to storytelling or making big claims and stuff like that. I think it's a bullshit story. I think it's made up. So anyways, let's hear what else he has to say on the rest of this. And then I'm going to break it down even more.
Who's very big.
I was going to say, what do you think? What do you think it is that causes people to?
But yeah, I mean, I think people will hate anyone who's very big.
I was going to say, what do you think? What do you think it is that causes people to have this?
He's super polarizing. I mean, he makes very strong claims. He talks about money. A lot of people just hate anyone who talks about money. He has money. A lot of people hate people who have money. He shows off the money that he has, which a lot of people just hate because it makes them feel a certain way about what their lives.
Yeah, and I think polarizing is usually what I think it means is that people speak in absolutes.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't believe what he believes, they believe that him saying that makes them wrong. And so then they immediately say, "I'll hate you," so that then it basically discredits anything that you're saying, so I feel good about myself.
Right.
But I think a lot of people don't have that self-awareness. I mean, I get people all the time, and I think I try to add a lot of context of like, hey, there's no right or wrong, and they're like, fuck you,
Yeah.
It's strange with nuance, right? When people add caveats in, what ends up happening is they dilute down the impact of the messaging in the hopes that they're going to front load a little bit of criticism, defense. So Seth Godin came on the show and he told me he's got like one of the biggest blogs on the planet, right? He's been writing daily for 15 years or something absolutely wild. And he said it was about 10, 12 years ago, he removed comments from his blog. And this is when Medium and Substack and stuff didn't exist. And people said, you can't remove comments from your blog. It's a blog. A blog has comments. And he's like, no, I can and I am. And the reason that I am is I know as the audience grows, every blog post is going to become a little bit longer with a little bit more caveats in there, with a little bit more exposition and nuance and a lack of commitment, because I'm always going to be playing defense ahead of what's going to appear in the comments below. And say what you want about Grant, like the guy's committed to the views that he has, and that degree, two things happen with that. One is, you're right, it creates a delta between what his view is and what your view is that can't be breached by you saying, oh, but he did say sometimes, or I think. It's like this. And the other thing that happens with that is that you cannot, it causes people to feel uncomfortable seeing somebody that's that certain about anything because it shows into very harsh light. I don't believe anything that much. And this guy's talking about something which is pretty aspirational with that degree of confidence that I wish that I had.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of people don't like him.
I admire him for it. So
I think a lot of people don't understand the goal, right? Like his goal, and he's very transparent, is not to be liked. His goal is to be known. And I think that's a very powerful nuance. Like he wants to be known. And so if he's happy to have more haters. He doesn't care. I really having spoken to him, I mean, maybe on some deep emotional level, like it's there, but like he has trained himself to love the hate. And he's like, you know what haters do? They talk about you more than anyone else does. He's like, you know what that does? Gets more people in my world. He's like, he did that stunt where he pretended like he lost all his money at the beginning of COVID, and like so many people hated him. He's like, look at my stats, bro. He's like, website's up 200%, sales are up 200%. He's like, look at the stats, man. And so like it's purely about what, does this serve me? And I think Grant is very good about ruthlessly prioritizing like the things that serve him and cutting out the things that do not. And so in that way, and this is just for everyone, like I said at the very beginning, but if someone is making more money than me, they are better at the game than I am in some way. And so I think just from a fundamental standpoint of belief about who to look for or what to look for or where to look rather for information, look at people who are ahead of you, ideally far ahead of you, and then look at the delta and say one of these deltas is, if that is what I want, one of these deltas is the right way to do it. And there may not be this particular tactic, but the principle behind it might be.
What's happening, people?
All right. So, all right. Yeah, my opinion is that that's all a completely made up story. I don't think he spent $130,000. I don't think she got him that for a present. The reason why I think it's bullshit is because they both have something to gain from this story. One, it creates a narrative for Grant's cronies and brainwashed followers that he's charging that much. And so people are like, no way is someone spending that much. Oh, wait, well, I guess Alex Hormozi is spending that much. So, okay, I guess I can justify spending that much. Look, when I went to 10X 360, when I bought that program from Brandon Dawson, for that, in case you don't know who that is, that's Grant's partner, spent $40,000 for a 2-day event. When I went to that event and didn't receive any real value, or at least didn't get what I was promised, or nothing they said was actually going to happen. In fact, what happened there was they upsold me a $300,000 product after spending the $40,000. So I didn't even have that much money, but let's assume I did have $300,000 and I did end up spending that. Now I would have been into it $340K. And I seen probably 10 or more people stand up and take that offer. So the reason people like that, one of the reasons why people stand up and take a $300,000 offer after already spending $40,000 for a 2-day event is because they've heard somebody like Alex Hormozi say that I spent $130,000 for like 4 hours of his time, 4 calls for an hour long. It creates a narrative and it builds Grant's value just by telling a story. And Alex Hormozi has a huge following and has a lot of people who follow him. So do you think that something probably came out really good came out of that for Grant? 100%. And Alex Hormozi also got something to gain from that. I mean, if he and all his followers are perceiving Grant as some guru to idolize because he's done all this, he's succeeded a lot, and Alex Hormozi got that mentorship from him. Now Alex Hormozi's value went up and status went up and all this. This is all just an ego-based agenda for status and labels and credibility and third-party validation. That's all it is. That's all Grant and Brandon Dawson and the entire 10X organization preached to me when I was a 10X business coach was third-party validation, third-party credibility. You got to say that we're your partner. Like, just tell them you're partners with me. Tell them you've worked with Google, Ford, Chevy, all this stuff like that, when none of that was even true. I've never even worked with those companies, but he was telling me to say that. So it's all about perception, and there's so many fake claims and so much encouragement to make fake claims, which is why I don't like labels. Like, if you look at my bio on Instagram bio, I don't talk about I don't say I'm an award-winning author, international speaker, 2-time this business owner, this, that, and the other. Like, it's such a self-serving way to put yourself out there. I don't need that credibility. I don't need that third-party validation. I've written 2 books. They're right here. I've written 2 books. I stopped talking about it. If you want to know more about, I mean, I'll bring it up every now and then, but it's not blasted out there. And I'm not, and yes, I publicly speak. I've been publicly speaking for about 4 years, and I've done a couple decent sized stages. I've done some things, but I don't blast it out there, and I'm not like that. And it's a bunch of bullshit anyway. It doesn't increase. Sure, it could increase your value to the people who idolize labels and status. That's the only people, and that's not the people that have enough clarity for me to want to gravitate towards, or for them to want to gravitate towards me. So it's just not on the same frequency that I'm on. So I changed all that. I don't care about being labeled as something. I don't care about blowing my ego up and talking about me being all these things. They do. Alex does. Grant Cardone, we all know he does. It's all about third-party validation. So, yeah, exactly, Lorraine. This is very calculated, and it reminds me of, it's one of neuro-linguistic programming tactics used in a bad way. And we were just watching a video as a family on NLP, and the way the guy was talking about some of these tactics. I think NLP is something that could be used for good and can be used for good, that's being used for evil. And this is what these guys are doing. They're using NLP tactics to deceive and manipulate for an agenda. This is a deep, deep mental chess game that's being played. And if people are and again, the people don't get it, they're going to be like, whoa, bro, you're on some conspiracy stuff. Like, whoa, dude, you're thinking way too far into this. No, on the contrary, actually, I'm not. I'm actually simplifying it and seeing things for what they actually are. When you're awake and you're not blinded and you're not taking all these temptations of status and ego and money and all these things that are being glorified, you can actually see the truth a lot more clearly. So I see through the bullshit, and this is exactly what's going on. Lorraine, you were saying it'll be good to get one of those experts on your podcast who observe people's body language, maybe show the top 3 person development gurus, and see who is the biggest BSer. That's a great idea. Yeah, if anybody knows, if you're watching on Instagram, or if you're you watch us later on, any experts like that, I mean, obviously I'm gonna look into that, because I like your suggestions, Lorraine. You always got good feedback like that, and great ideas. That's a great idea. That's who I need to get hooked up with, people who study that type of stuff, or who have more of an analytical, logical breakdown of certain things that I talk about, and this being body language and tells and things like that. But yeah, that whole video just screamed bullshit to me. And the whole body language and the tells and the fidgeting and the, at the timing of all of it, it just seemed weird to me. And it felt, just without me even using my eyes to rely on that for a breakdown, just feeling the energy, it felt like it was a made up story and didn't happen. So anyways, I think this is what's happening in the space. I'm going to give you another example. So I was at, I don't remember. I've been to a few events where I've seen this woman. I don't know if you guys know who Stormy Wellington is. Stormy Wellington has a pretty good sized following. She's a coach. And she talks a lot about mindset, really. She just, she's got great stuff, but, not all of it is great, obviously. She's got things that she says that I do agree with. She's got some things that are helpful for people. But again, I feel like she's either manipulating people and knows about it, or she doesn't know what she's doing and she's been taught that on the stuff that doesn't feel so good. She spoke at one of the 10X growth conferences, and since then has been blowing. How do I say this? She's been promoting Grant Cardone quite a bit, talking about their partnership, talking about everything she's done with him. She credits a lot of her stuff to Grant. And I think this is also as Lorraine put it, a calculated arrangement and relationship, so that it serves Grant and serves her audience as well, and builds a narrative. It's all part of this NLP thing. So, matter of fact, I'll show you a picture here. I met her when I was actually at that 10x 360 boot camp or whatever for 2 days. That's the room. That's the event I went to where they sold a $300,000 upsell in that room. All right, so I met her. She seemed like she was genuine. I will say though, she did seem disconnected. Like she really had a hard time being authentic. Like I could tell she had a good heart deep down, but I also think she was there for, I don't know, not really there to connect. I don't even think she was there to learn, to be honest. But I felt some weird energy as well within that. And I think after that, I heard her make a claim. I don't know if it was in that room or if it was probably a GrowthCon. I honestly don't remember, but she made this claim. She said from a stage that she invested $5 million with Cardone Capital. She said she gave Grant Cardone $5 million because she trusted him and she trusted she's going to get her money back and she believed in him and all that stuff. And she encouraged other people to do the same thing. I don't think she spent $5 million with the man. I think it was a made up fucking story as well. That's just my opinion. Again, nobody ever actually provides proof of this stuff. And I don't think that there's anything wrong, especially if you're getting mentorship from somebody like if you're getting mentorship from Alex Hormozi, ask him, be like, dude, can you like show me a recording of you guys talking or like a receipt? Is there any way for you to substantiate that you actually spent that and got that mentorship from Grant? It's not an unreasonable request, right? If someone's looking to spend money in Cardone Capital, they heard Stormy Wellington encourage them because she spent $5 million with them. It wouldn't be unreasonable for somebody to be like, hey, Stormy, can you show me like your numbers on that? Like, cause especially if you're thinking about investing, like if I was thinking about investing a large amount like that, and I heard somebody say that, I'd be like, can you show me like what you got going on? Show me how you did, like show me your account. Obviously she must have some type of analytics, access to some type of back end information that shows her distributions and stuff like that. She must for that cost, for that amount of money. And so it's not unreasonable to ask these type of things. These are type of questions that people should be asking. Anytime someone makes a huge claim, you have the right to ask them more questions. All right. Because they're encouraging you. They're asking you to spend money with them. So if someone tries to shame you, like on that last video, I was talking about how Grant said his friend brought accusations in question to him, and Grant was talking about how he shamed him and said, bro, how dare you? Like you shouldn't even question me. You shouldn't even why would you even believe that? And like, he was shaming him. And the guy, and from the story he was telling, like he didn't even accuse him of that. He was just saying, hey, someone wrote this about you, dude. Can we talk about it? So anyway, someone makes claims. Everybody has the right to ask questions. It's just part of the claim. And you should be, and someone who's confident in their claim, someone who's truthful, someone who's being honest, should be ready to explain themselves. It's no different than a business saying we're the best business in town. And then someone calls up and says, hey, I noticed a billboard that said you're the best business in town. Is there anything that you could show me to substantiate that claim? I mean, it's a huge claim. That business better be okay with sharing it and ready. Like there's nothing wrong with that. So anyways, I think the story with Alex Hormozi is bullshit and serves both of their agenda. I think the story with Stormy Wellington saying she invested $5 million with Cardone Capital, spending it with Grant, I think it's bullshit. I don't think these are real stories. I think this is all just to serve agendas, to build the status and get them more business in perpetuity on the back end in different areas, right? It has nothing to even do with what they're talking about. It's just the story. It's the narrative the story creates, right? And the wilder the story, the more outrageous the story, the more unbelievable the story is, the more it actually is going to build status with people who idolize status. This is getting on a deeper level here talking about this. But yeah, status is only important to people who crave status, who idolize status and have an ego for status. I hope people understand that what I'm talking about with that. All right, let's talk about the sales. All right, so another example of how I experienced this was I was talking to somebody. I got hooked up with somebody on, I don't know, his Facebook or something like that. It was a public speaking company that helps people publicly speak. Oh, I got hooked up with this through a good friend of mine who actually was was reaching out to me for my advice. It was my friend's mom, and she's like, I think 60 or older, and she's coaching and she's doing some self-developmental stuff, and she's learning how to publicly speak. And she flat out asked me, she's like, Ben, I want to just get your opinion. I know you're good with this stuff. Like, do you think this is a good idea? They're asking for $5,000 for me to go here, and they're going to put me on a stage, and I'm going to publicly speak. They're going to show me how to publicly speak, all that stuff. I looked into it. So I vetted the company. I actually got put in contact with them and I talked to 3 different people on 3 separate Zoom calls to give my friend an actual opinion of this. And the last call, so the first call, sweet lady. She was nice. She was like, yeah, I think you should talk to this person within the same company. Then I got on the call with her. That was not a very good experience. I was terrible energy, and I could tell this chick was literally just there to serve herself and to just money grab people and hustle people. However, she did suggest, when I told her, I was like, yeah, I would love to, because she told me about a Caribbean cruise public speaking event where a bunch of big power players are going to be speaking. And she's like, yeah, I think you might be a good fit for this. And so she's like, I'm going to connect you with this guy. He'll tell you more about it. She did. And by the time I got to this guy, real class A douchebag, I for the life of me, I cannot remember his name. I would love to go back because he's definitely, in my opinion, one of today's misguided mentors. Guy hops on a Zoom call. He's like eating cereal or something. He's like eating while we're talking and stuff like that. Super disrespectful, in my opinion. And he's like telling me, like, yeah, we got this going on. Is that something you want to be interested in? And I'm like, I mean, it sounds interesting. Absolutely, man. I was like, I just got to be, transparent with you though. Like, I'm not spending any money to be on anybody's stage. I won't do that anymore. I've done that over the years. I've taken so many public speaking competitions. I've paid people thousands of dollars to be on their, at this point, accumulation of tens of thousands of dollars. I think I paid $9,000 for one event. I spent $5,000 on 10x360 twice. And then I've taken my buddy Brandon's course, which a few thousand here, a few thousand there, or whatever. So I've probably spent over $20,000 in public speaking, being on someone's stage, probably 30, maybe even at this point. I told him, I was like, I just don't do that anymore, dude. Like, I put myself out there. If you think that I can contribute to your stage and the people that are going to hear me speak, I'll make myself available. I ain't going to charge anything. I don't need money to do it. I'm there to help people, man. I'm there to drop value and meet friends. I'm not there to make money. If stuff like that happens naturally and organically, that's what's supposed to happen. But I am not publicly speaking. My intention is not to publicly speak so that I can make money. And I was telling him this, and I was like, and I'm also not going to spend money to ever be on a stage again. And he tried pitching me this narrative that he's like, everybody pays to be on a stage, man. He's like, you think all those people that are speaking aren't paying? He's like, they probably paid like 20, 30 grand to speak, dude. And I was like, that I don't believe that. I was like, I was like, I'm not going to spend that. He's like, well, yeah, the reason they're doing it is because they know they're going to make a ton more money on the back end by the people that they're going to speak to. And so he just tried to brainwash me on a Zoom call into thinking that I'm going to make money. He thought I chased money. And so he thought that was going to work on me, I guess. And he didn't hear me when I said, I'm not here to make money off publicly speaking. He thought that he was going to convince me that everybody else that is speaking at the event spent tens and thousands of dollars to speak at the event, and that I should do that if I want to speak. And more importantly, I'll end up getting money in perpetuity after that. And I was just like, it was just such terrible energy. after he realized, like, I'm good, dude. Like, I'm not interested in this at all. So it sounds like, and then he tried to say, oh, yeah, you probably wouldn't be a good fit for it then. And they try to fucking put that energy on me, like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, I think you're not a good fit for this then. And it's like, yeah, I made that decision, bro. I made the decision I'm not a good fit for your fucking shit show. So, sorry, I'm getting really passionate about that story because it really irritated me that he hopped on eating food all nonchalant, trying to tell me that everybody pays to be on a stage and that I should pay to be on a stage and be grateful to pay to be on a stage and all that stuff. So anyways, this narrative, that's another example of how that's a false claim. He tried telling me that people pay to be on a stage, or that all people pay to be on a stage, rather. That's not true. People who pay to be on a stage are people like me in my early stages where I was trying to look to get experience and go to competitions and stuff like that. At that point, I was willing to pay, but there was a point where, like, I'm not paying anymore. Like, it doesn't make this more valuable for me to pay to be on a stage to speak. I was like, I have value. I have something that I can say that's going to impact somebody in a positive way, in a very effective and provoking way that's going to probably change them, in my opinion. I have a specific message for everybody if they're actually willing to listen to it. And I firmly believe that. That's not like some egotistical statement. It's just like the stuff I've been talking about publicly at events is different from what other people are talking about, and so I'm putting myself out there to event coordinators that if you think I can add value to your listeners, then I'm here and I don't need money. So don't try to come at me and say that, oh yeah, if you want to get involved with this, you're going to have to pay and I'll put you on my stage. Like, it's just, I'm not doing that. I'm not ever going to do that anymore. All right. So I think that was a narrative that was sold to me so that I believed it and it worked. And I started paying to get on people's stages. And then, once I actually knew myself and I got experience as well with publicly speaking, I didn't need to do that anymore. So it was quite simple. Anyways, these are all false claims. There's a lot more. Those are just the 3 examples. The Alex Hormozi and Cardone made up story. The Stormy Wellington made up story about how she invested $5 million, made up. And then the guy telling me that these people spent tens and thousands of dollars to speak on his stage, made up. These are all made up. These are stories to serve their agenda. All right. This has nothing to do with reality. All right. The problem, though, that's happening is because these stories are being made up, people believe them. They believe them. And so then they start thinking they need to do that. So now the story becomes true. All right. That's the problem, which is the same reason why I started spending money to publicly speak. So it's quite crazy. I wish people would just, if I had one wish for people out of this topic and this subject, it's to just pay attention when somebody makes big claims. When someone makes a big claim or tells a crazy big story that involves money, when it involves money, pay close attention to that. Pay close attention to the body cues that we were talking about earlier, the tells. Pay close attention to the energy. This is where you got to really know yourself. You got to really know who you are as a person. You got to be able to actually feel that energy. If something feels, don't overthink it. If something feels off, it usually is. Something feels good, lean into that energy. All right, but you got to be clear. You got to be thinking with clarity, and you can't be blinded by status and ego and temptations and all those things that are gonna prevent you and make it harder for you to see people's bullshit. All right. So that's what I wish for people. Yeah, Lorraine, exactly. They try to ridicule me after rejection rather than respect where I was. Exactly, dude. That guy was is really terrible energy. And he really treated me like shit after I let him know, like, I'm not paying to be on a stage, dude. Like, I had to tell him like twice, like, I don't think you're hearing me. I will never, ever pay money to be on someone's stage to publicly speak ever again. And so then he started spinning. Yeah, I don't think you're a good fit for this anymore. Like, no shit, dude. I told you that. And then he said more than that too, that just completely got disrespectful. But it was not a good call. So anyways, those are my 3 examples. Is there anything else I want to? By the way, the whole Alex Hormozy telling that story about Grant, I think Alex is a really good liar, unfortunately. I think he's one of those polished liars. He's a polished fable teller. Like, not as good as Layla. Layla, just hearing him talk about this made up story made her uncomfortable as shit. Like, just pay attention to that. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I read people pretty well. And I could be wrong. I'm also open-minded enough to think like, okay, maybe I could be wrong. But I'll never know because they're never going to obviously address it or talk to me. And but I'd be open to hearing that. Absolutely. What else? What's the last things I want to say? So yeah, those false claims just serve the agenda of getting in proximity. Proximity is power. All those sayings I keep bringing up that brainwash people get more powerful with these stories, right? Because it just ties in, right? The sayings of get in proximity, the sayings of proximity's power, the sayings of those who pay attention, the sayings of success leaves clues, the saying of be the dumbest person in the room. All these sayings are to serve the same agenda. The stories serve the agenda. The sayings serve the agenda. It's all bullshit. It's all made up. The only reason it comes to life is because people believe it. Unfortunately, I believed all these stupid sayings for years, which is the only reason I spent money. And everything that I believed was not true. Everything, all those sayings are not true. Your network is your net worth. Your net worth is your network. I always get that backwards. That's a made up say. That's not real. Like your net worth is, if I was to change that to something more in alignment with me that's actually got some truth, your net worth is based on how many people you can help and impact in a positive way. Not even talking about money. It's not even to do with money. That's your net worth. Your net worth is how much you can impact somebody, right? Because now you're actually worth something. You're worth like spreading your love, spreading your knowledge, spreading selflessly, spreading without judgment. Like that's real net worth. All right. So I found out very quickly by believing these stupid sayings and living my life accordingly. In the end, they were all made up sayings that were never true. By the way, I would just say last thing, like someone's who's the last bullet point I said earlier is if someone's making claims like that, ask them to substantiate it. Again, okay? It's no different than a business saying we're the best. And you call them and say, hey, I heard you guys say you're the best. Like, can you tell me why you think that? Or can you show me something to help me believe that you guys are the best? So yeah, ask people to substantiate claims, all right? And don't let them shame you for asking questions. They're going to put themselves out there with that big claim. And if they're honest and true, they should have no problem respectfully showing something, validating something, if it's a story about another person, get them involved, and then feel that energy because people could still lie with all that and stuff can be fabricated. And AI is a hell of a thing too. ChatGPT, hell of a thing. So just pay attention. And again, your biggest superpower is going to be just knowing yourself and staying in touch with your intuition to see things for what they are. That is the biggest superpower. And unfortunately, some people lose that. And the ones who really embody that and have a good grounding with their intuition, they can see things coming. They can see the good and they can see evil coming at them. So hopefully you are in that space. Yeah, I think I covered all my bullet points. You guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's going to wrap up this stream. And I love what you said, Lorraine. I'm going to maybe seek out somebody who does actually, or maybe I'll find even a video to break down where a guy's talking about that. I think I've seen that before actually. But it would be good to have somebody talk, get them on the roster as I'm growing my interview list, my conversation list for people when I start kicking off some interviews on this podcast. So anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully there's some value in this. I hope somebody sees this and understands what I'm talking about and, sees what I'm saying and hopefully has some type of, I hope someone is going through something like this and they see this video and something I said clicks with them to where they actually don't make a terrible decision. That's what I hope. That's what these videos are out for. So I'll say a prayer for that. And anyways, thanks for watching, Lorraine and everybody else who popped on here. Thank you so much for the feedback, Lorraine, as always. I appreciate that. I'll check you guys later. I'm going to go eat some dinner. I smell some food cooking, so I'm pretty hungry. I'm going to get at it. Other than that, you guys have a good rest of your evening. We'll talk later, all right? Take care.